How's it going, guys? Welcome back to TheBlueShifting and welcome back to the House of Fata Morgana, a Requiem for Innocence. So we're kind of going back on the recollections of Morgana here, like about her young childhood when she first started giving the blood, when the miracles started to happen, and her mom started to really wonder what had happened. And we heard her mom kind of confess that she'd had a one-night stand with a vagabond who took off afterwards. And so she kind of came up with the story, but she's been known to tell tall tales. So she came up with the story that she was virgin conceived. But all the hype is built up around her daughter, and the Morgana believes it 100%. Which is the other really tragic part of this all, is she's so innocent, she just genuinely believes it herself. So her mom's starting to feel really detached from Morgana because Morgana's kind of freaking her out now that she's going so far in this belief and in this structure of stuff. So yeah, it doesn't end well. We're gonna probably see that here in just a second. So but thank you so much for joining me. Hope you're enjoying, and let's continue this story and see how it all plays out. Yet another busy day. It's been 3 years with no end in sight. We're starting to see more and more travelers from faraway lands. People have even set up trading posts in the village. Yet not a single coin comes our way. We're losing money every day. Morgana? What is it, Mother? I must prepare for my next blessing. Why must you hand out miracles for nothing? Why would you even ask such a question, Mother? We're barely holding on as it is, my dear. It's not wrong to expect a little remuneration for our services. No, Mother, it is wrong. Miracles are not to be bartered for. God the Father does not charge for his miracles. So why should we, when I'm only borrowing his power? Listen to me, Morgana. Every time you give someone a blessing, you're hurting yourself. If not for the miracle itself, you still deserve some degree of compensation for the pain. I know you're concerned for me, Mother, and I appreciate it very much. But I'm happy with the way things are. I'm happy to be able to help others with my Heavenly Father's power. A power you won't have much longer, my dear, if we can't afford to keep ourselves fed. I'm a saint, aren't I? Yes, you're my sweet little saint. God will not forsake his saint. No matter how difficult it may get, he will always provide me with a way to continue doing his work. And you're the mother of that saint, aren't you? Yes, that's right. I conceived you untainted by the hands of a man. Then you must respect his will as well, Mother. It must be our highest priority. You're right. I was wrong, my dear saint. I can already tell, this might be a short episode because my throat's already, feeling rough today. Mother? Mother? You agreed with me. You said I was right. So why are you taking money from that man? Mother? Why? Right. I mustn't let myself cry. I must always stay strong. I must endure his trials. My saintly grace must not waver. Father would be greatly disappointed in me, and then I would have nowhere to call home. See, if I'd known I was that close to the end last time, I would have just continued. My entire head is throbbing. What a wonderful way to start the day. I'd like to sleep for another 6 or 12 hours, but I still have things to take care of after yesterday. First, down to the pub to talk to the gang. I drank way too much. Dear God. Oh, it's a party. Jacopo! I need your help. I can't carry everyone out by myself. Alright, I'll drag them out into the street. Please don't shout, though. My head hurts enough as it is. Thank you! I said stop shouting. I guess I'll start with him. Morning, friends. Oh, Oh, it's the big guy from last night. Name's Gratin. Try not to forget it, cause you'll be seeing a lot of me. Which reminds me, I never got your name. I'm just a trifling little flower. My name isn't that important, but if you would lend a hand, that would be lovely. A hand with what? I'm just here for the booze. Haven't you had enough? Not even close. Well, there isn't anything left. Or did you forget the two of you last night drank the whole town dry? We're just gonna be a plain old restaurant for at least the next few days. Ah, well, that's a crying shame. And whose fault do you think that is? Ugh, you see that? Like, my voice just cracked. It's bad enough when I can't do the acting very well, but when I'm cracking too, ooh. And whose fault do you think that is? How many more trips is this gonna take? They're all still out like rocks. Oh, I thought they erected a new wall in here for a second, but it's just you. So, just so we're clear, since that wasn't any real resolution last night, you passed out first, which means I. Hey, top of the morning to you, Jacopo. Huh? And what a beautiful morning it is. You seem to be doing quite well. What happened to the aggressively competitive Gratin from last night? I had you all wrong, Jacopo. What? I had you pegged for the stuck-up-your-butt rich boy kind of fella, but you drink like a real pro. The true measure of a man is how well he holds his booze. Then I am not holding well because I don't even know, and B, I'm sure it's terrible. And you proved yourself. You're one heck of a guy. Oh, sure. Pfft, at least give me a hearty hell yeah, would ya? Don't tell me I was wrong about you about being wrong about you. I'm just not at full capacity at the moment. It's taking me a little longer than normal to process. Anywho, point is, you got my seal of approval. We helped each other out back at the Lord Buttwife's Manor, but now we're comrades, partners in crime. Hold up. What? You don't want to be partners? I never said that. You make it sound like you're planning on staying, though. I most certainly do. You were one of the Lord's slaves. You know, the slaves who incited the revolt. It's not safe for you to stay here. If someone were to identify you, you'd be dead and... Gah! Life's too short to quibble over crap like, somebody might be trying to kill me. It's hardly quibbling. There's a reason we had all the other slaves transported to different cities. Trust me, I know it ain't safe for me to stick around. But I want to be here when that horseman finally gets what's coming. Like heck, I'm bailing before his head's on a pike. Okay then. As long as you're aware of the risk, that's your choice to make. And in that case, I'm glad to have you. The addition of such a valiant comrade should prove quite inspiring to the rest of the gang. Heh, you're darn right it will. You should have just said that to begin with. Skipped all the not safe nonsense. Besides, everything you just said applies the same to you. As far as anyone in that manner is concerned, you're a slave as much as me. And your infiltration job didn't exactly have you lying low. They'll recognize you. Fair enough. I haven't heard any wanted posters going up yet, but you're right. It's best to remain cautious for now. Though, as long as we keep to the slums, we should be relatively safe for the time being. An amusing thought as that is. We're safer in this lawless dump than in the city proper. Indeed, but the gang has eyes and ears covering the entire district. If someone who doesn't belong shows up, word will spread quickly. Ah, so the Lord's Guard's trying to slip in the cover will be blown just like that, eh? Precisely. Which isn't to say it's a good part of town, of course. We have more than our fair share of hooligans. You just have to be able to protect yourself. Which I doubt will be an issue for you. Heck yeah, bring on the pickpockets. I'll rob every last one of them blind, maybe even literally. I'm glad he's on our side. Me too, man. He's freaking good, but he's very terrifying. Well, if you're going to be staying here, you should probably show more than just you should probably show you more than just our pup of choice. You'll need to find work as well. Not that that should prove any trouble. With your muscle, you can choose pretty much anything. Bodyguard, carpenter, metal worker, whatever you like. But first... could I ask you to help me get these dolts outside? Aye, aye, wherever you want me to toss them. Be gentle with them if you would. They are ours for what it's worth. Goodness, between cleaning up the pub and showing Gratine around town, that goes most of my day. The brothel's probably open by now. Though the back entrance it is. Through the back entrance it is. Hey, anyone home? No one? Not even the girl. Don't tell me she went out wandering in her condition. Oh, hey there, Jacopo. Perfect timing. Marie, where's the girl? Where did she go? Huh? She was here last I checked. Last you checked? You're supposed to be looking after her. Anyway, help me look for her. Yeah, I don't think that'll, excuse me? Turn around. Oh, there she is. Huh. Where have you been? I didn't even sense her approaching. I swear she just appeared there like a ghost. And where did you get those clothes? Yeah, there she is. My favorite character. I hate what happens to her, but she's definitely the best character in my opinion. Oh yeah, we were digging around in the dressing room, found it there. I wanted to get her into something a little cuter, but she insisted on that. I didn't even know we had clothes that bland here. Girls come and go though, so that's probably belonged to someone who's not around anymore. Still, I'm shocked anyone who worked here ever wore such a boner killer. It's a... It's a cloak for pilgrimages. Huh? An outfit someone wears while on a pilgrimage. This is far, far more beautiful than any of those filthy whore rags. Ah, a pilgrimage, huh? I never would have guessed we had a girl who was into that. Yet she abandoned her spiritual journey and entered into this den of sinners. I guess. Nevertheless, I'm glad there was clothing suitable for me to wear. Yeah, talk about luck. Anyway, I've got an appointment. I'll be back. What? Hey, Marie. I get that she's difficult, but you don't have to ditch me, dang it. It is rather plain outfit, though. All blacks and brown. She'd probably blend in quite well in the darkness. Which would explain why I couldn't find her when I got here. Why are you staring at me? Well, I'm glad you found something you could wear with your brooch. Also, God, keeping a conversation going with her is like pulling teeth. Yeah, you look like you're doing a lot better than yesterday. Much more color in your cheeks. As if you could tell the difference between all these scars. It's an expression. I'm just saying you look much better. You could barely even sit up yesterday. You're recovering impressively quickly. I imagine it won't be long before you're back to full capacity. He's trying so hard to be good! Yesterday, What about yesterday? Thank you for rescuing me. What? Right, that. No, don't mention it. It was nothing, really. That's not what you said last night. Oh, come on, just let me be humble, would you? Anyway, I wasn't expecting that. I was readying myself for another argument. I also wasn't sure how much of what happened you even remembered without the hysterical you got. I was not hysterical. My arm begs to... My mind was clear almost the whole time. I remember everything. First a slave, you saved my life from the wicked lord. I'm not actually a slave, but details. You took me by the arm, put me on your back, and fled from the lord's manor. That I did. It was a little hazy for some of the trip, but by the time you reached the port quarter, my mind had cleared up almost entirely. What? My consciousness had returned by that point. Oh. You brought me to this brothel, and yes, at first I was frightened because I believed you meant to have me become a whore. But this is one and only instance of me last night that you could describe as hysterical. I remember everything quite well, thank you. Okay then. Fair enough. You're right. I can't tell if she's sincere or just trying to convince herself, but she seems unusually repulsed by the idea of her losing her cool. She's not entirely right, but she's not entirely wrong either, so I'll let her have this one. In any event, you've recovered well enough to hold a conversation, which is great to see. What do you mean to do to me now? Better question, what do you want to do? Alright, well, here's my idea. If you don't have anything, you can stay here until you're ready to get back on your feet. Marie's already set aside that room for you. You want me to stay in the vile gathering place of sinners? You do realize who you're talking about, right? Those vile sinners are the ones who took you in, who agreed to look after you. They're no different than you or me, just doing what they must to get by. I'm not like them. You're right, they don't look down on others for their line of work. Oh, throwing shade. He's right. He's being brutal, but he's absolutely right. Like, this is like one of the biggest problems I do have with religion, like organized religion in this regard. It's like, in the pursuit of virtuous lives, of trying to live a life worth living, that's good and proper and brings about the best in yourself and others, it ends up being this barrier where the more you try to strike that ideal, the more you feel you have to push away those who are further from the ideal. I think there's a psychological part of us that clings to this idea that, like, as long as I'm not as bad as them, I'm okay. And so you take kind of this, like, not a pleasure, but it's like a comfort in categorizing and shoving people aside for being sinners. But it's interesting because it's the antithesis of at least Christian teachings, which, and I honestly, from what I know, it is this way in pretty much all teachings that are religious based, is the idea that, like, we're meant to be following examples of people who lived lives that were filled with compassion, like for caring for the poor, for listening to the needy, for wishing for those who are making decisions that are considered sinful to come to the light, to become better themselves. And so it's really ironic that so many people who are clinging to this high lifestyle attempt to try and force that lifestyle on others and judge people for not taking that path, when it's the opposite of what they are supposedly striving to be. So it's not that I have a problem with religion in general, it's people who practice religion getting these weird disconnects, these weird fallacies, that's the word, fallacies of logic to their own systems and their own beliefs. And like I said, that's not like it's like, oh, all people who are religious are like this. Like, frankly, I think majority of people who are religious are also just trying to be good people. And that religion is a kind of a rudder for them to help guide them on the path that they want. But there are a vocal portion of those religious people who tend to take things to such extremes. And, like, it can be really scary when that type of attitude is put to the forefront of issues, even political issues. Because then it starts dehumanizing the ability of people to make choices and to make mistakes, which is kind of the whole point of the entire system if you follow, like, the religious teachings of most sects. Again, I don't know all of them. I find the subject fascinating, and so I've spent time, like, just learning bits and pieces. If people want to talk religion, I'm usually good to sit down and talk about it, especially if it's a stranger whom I can disconnect with later and not feel like I have to be obligated to talk to. Like, close friends, we might talk about stuff, but I don't ever want to get it to a point where it becomes awkward. But, like, Jehovah's Witnesses and people knocking on your door, I usually take the time to talk to them, get their perspective, ask some questions. Like, obviously they get really excited and they want you to, like, start attending their congregational meetings and everything like that. But, you know, I kind of put my foot down to a lot of that, but I like keeping myself open because someday, somewhere, I'm going to be able to learn stuff I've never learned before. Maybe there's going to be the right, like, group or something that's going to take me from the track I currently tread and pull me into a different path. And I think that it's important to be open to the idea of that being a possibility, and like and not having the haughty belief that somehow, despite the fact that I am fairly young and have very limited experience as a person, that I somehow know everything there is to know in the world, and that there couldn't be any truth out there that I don't already know about. Like, that seems ridiculous. And like, I understand you want to be secure in like beliefs you hold, but can you really say that there's no chance that somebody out there couldn't enlighten you in a way that you never conceived of? And that's the whole point. Like, it would be enlightening because you'd never thought of it before. So it's always worthwhile to at least hear people's opinions, to give them a chance to like at least say what they want to say, and then really listen and ask real questions, but not to get hoodwinked, because there's also tactics that people can use to try and psychologically manipulate your emotions and to like get you to jump into things like head first before you have time to think about it. You got to be careful of that too, but like, I still think it's far more important for us to be open to other ideas and to the concept that we might not know everything we think we do. So, enough of that rant, but it's just important to me that we have that distinction, and not say that like, I'm not trying to degrade religiousness in general, but the fact that like, there's so much more to being religious and trying to be a good person than just keeping yourself away from the sinners. In fact, they're the people you probably should be around the most, because if you can, you're supposed to be helping them make better choices. And like Jacopo's saying, no one works here because they just want to work here. This is like, I have nothing else I can really do. I don't have any skills. I've got to make the best of my situation, and this is probably the best I got. I mean, it sucks, but at the same time, it also can be something they enjoy. I mean, like, I don't think I'll ever begrudge anybody who does something like working in the porn industry or anything like that, because if that's what they want to do, that's great. I hate that those types of industries help foster and encourage like human trafficking as an undercurrent, like an underbelly of that type of work. Obviously no reputable like person working in like the industry would ever be caught up in something like that, but like, we've seen how like the darker side of that industry can then dabble into the really dark stuff. So what are you gonna do? You just encourage people to be the best them that they can, and to be the best you that you can. Anyway, enough of that rant, but it's an important subject for me, and it's a difficult one to explain, so I hope you can understand what I was trying to say there. I'd love to hear your questions or anything, comments about that if you have anything to say. Like, heck, pause the video before you forget and just let me know, because this is like, but let's keep it civil. I don't want to be bickering. I want to keep it like open-minded. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Let's move on. All right, anyway. At the very least, try to keep your callous prejudice against prostitutes to yourself when they're around, would you? Why, it's my sacred duty to spread the word of God. Indulging in carnal pleasure is a sin, no matter the reason. Prostitutes are filthy, tainted women. Jeez, and all the blood the Lord took for you cause your heart to shrivel up? In what world is it reasonable for you to go up to women offering you sanctuary and call them to their faces sinners? Show them some gratitude, dig it! You're the one who brought me here. I never asked them to do anything for me. Okay, fine, whatever. If you're that opposed to staying here, then go. Get out. You don't deserve their hospitality. Go off, preach the word of God, call everyone sinners. I'll expect someone will find you dead on the side of the road in less than a fortnight. I mean, at least he's not mollycoddling her. Very well. Thank you for yesterday. And farewell. Wait. Wait. Yes? Are you insane? You're not supposed to actually go. You're the one who told me to leave. Gah! Off to a great start with the 3 years of ice breaking, Jacopo. She's been through hell, you know that. I'm sorry. I take everything back. That was extremely childish of me. So please reconsider. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night knowing I chased you out. You cannot seem to make up your mind, can you? It was a heat of the moment thing. I didn't mean it. I'm sorry. I don't actually want you to leave. Oh, goodness. Oh, right, the ointment. Did you apply it like I told you to? No. Really? Well, in that case, I'll do it now. You'll need help with your back either way. You're a very curious man. Huh? Why do you say that? No reason. I'm simply saying the first thing that came to mind. Don't tell me you think I have an unscrupulous... don't tell me you think I have an unscrupulous taste like Mara seems to believe. Huh? Let me make this perfectly clear. I will not lay a finger on you. You're just a child, for goodness sake. Now sit down. Oh, look at that. I thought I'd have to fight her on this. Huh. Is something the matter? I never told you to undress. Were you wanting to apply the ointment to on my clothes then? Good point. That wouldn't help much, would it? Gosh darn it, Jacopo, calm down. Are you trying to make yourself look like a liar? Shh, caught me off guard, that's all. The girl quietly disrobed, then knelt down. She had been naked where I'd saved her from the Lord, so it wasn't like this was my first time seeing her unclothed. But that was in the middle of a revolt. I didn't exactly have time to get a good look. She was almost frighteningly scrawny, her arms barely any bigger than the bones within. Man. Her skin was so pale I could see the blue veins running beneath it. It's like... it's hard to imagine, right? Like, I've lost a lot of weight. I'm definitely... but I'm still not even, like, at the skinniest that I could probably be. I mean, actually, I'm probably about as skinny as I should be, honestly. Like... there's lots of other things I'm dealing with that make me look not as skinny as I probably would, namely excess skin. It's just a fact, and it's something I have to deal with, and it's something I'm self-conscious about, but I'm glad I have it. But it definitely is kind of one of those things where it's just like, oh yeah, I want to put on a shirt that like fits really well. It's like, well, it makes me look like I've got this belly still. It's just like, but there's nothing there really. It just doesn't look as flattering as I wish it could. But you know, that's vanity talking, right? This is like emaciation. This is starvation. This is the stuff that should never be happening in a world like ours, where we have the ability to like produce all the food that the entire population of the planet could ever need. We literally could just, we make more food than we need. Heck, the United States probably makes enough food by itself to be able to feed the rest of the world. And then we throw away like 2/3 of it, essentially. Because it either spoils on the shelves because people don't want to grab it, or it spoils in our refrigerators, or we throw it out when it could still be usable. So much in the world I wish could be better. I wish I could somehow make it better, you know? I know I can't. I'm so far from being able to do that, but I really wish I could. Really, really wish I could. And then, of course, there was the crisscrossing web of scars. Each one stood out clearly against her pale skin. The scars covered her whole body, front and back. I could hardly find a patch of skin that hadn't been desecrated. Looking at her, I was gripped with a mix of burning rage and bitter sadness, neither of which I had a source of relief for. But the most upsetting thing was how she just sat there, exposed, completely emotionless. Quite a change for how she behaved last night. Today, I'm the one doing all the shouting. Almost feels like I'm looking like a helpless puppet. I scooped up some of the ointment with my finger and gently rubbed it across her wounded flesh. Every time my hand made contact, she shuddered, but she never recoiled or objected. I thought it felt less like she was willingly accepting my aid, and more like she was simply enduring, waiting for it to be over. It was almost silent in the room, save for the cries and moans that made its way through the walls. Sitting naked in a brothel with a strange man rubbing medicine on her, I could only imagine how unpleasant this must be, considering how devout she seems to be. She was probably doing everything in her power to cut herself off from the whole experience. I wonder if perhaps she might one day come to realize that we were not trying to insult her demeanor, that we were simply concerned for her, that we wanted to give her a place she could feel safe. So is this all the Lord's doing? You don't have to answer if you're not comfortable. Except for my arms, yes. Someone else did your arms then? No, I cut them myself. You... I thought suicide was a sin. Is self-mutilation allowed then? I'm not sure what the rules are on that. You have a lot to live for. And that was about the extent of our conversation as I applied the ointment. I couldn't come up with any small talk and didn't really want to press any further about her scars at a time with her lord. So I quietly worked. She quietly let me do my work. By the time I was all over, I was exhausted. I felt like I'd taken more out of me than a couple hours than I'd spent dragging unconscious drunks from the pub. When I told her I was finished, she let out a sigh of relief, the first sign of emotion I'd seen from her since we began. Thank you. Oh wait, we're not quite done. Still have to take care of your face. No, I'm fine, thank you. I beg to differ. If anything, you should be more concerned about your face. Now come on, look at me. Do I have to? Well, yeah. It'd be kind of silly to do everything but your face. I can do it myself. Uh-huh, sure, yeah. Not happening. I'm gonna finish what I started. Why can't I do it myself? Because my gut tells me you'll just slap a little on and call it done. I want to make sure it's taken care of properly. So look at me. Show me your face. Fine. Sorry, it's just... knowing what happens and how it ends really kind of sucks, you know? Like, really? It kind of sucks. Because you look at this and you're like, this is wonderful, right? Like, it's a moment of, like, of peace and, like, connection. And, like, she could easily spend her whole life terrified, running in fear of people who look at her and are, like, terrified of what she is, if she's contagious or something, you know? And she found somebody who really is so compassionate. I want to just... I hate what he becomes. I hate what he becomes. It's worse because of this, you know? It's good, but it's also terrible. I don't know. It's hard to... It's very emotionally upsetting right now. You know? I really do care a lot for the characters in this story, but especially Morgana. Like, it's horrible what she becomes and how dark she gets twisted, but my gosh. I don't blame her for a second of it. It was bizarre how she had so little hesitation exposing her naked body, yet vehemently resisted letting me see her face. With anyone else, I knew it would be the other way around. The wounds on her face seemed to hold much more significance to her than those on the rest of her body. When she asked me to kill her yesterday, it was immediately after seeing herself in a mirror. But if the marks on her face were that upsetting, wouldn't she want them to heal? So why was she fighting me about it? Did she have some other reason to hide her face from me? Whatever it was that drove her action, I couldn't make any sense of it. Let me know if it stings. The art is also just really well done. Relax, I won't bite. You weren't this tense when I was applying the ointment to the rest of you. Just get it over with. Alright, alright. You know, I just realized I don't know your name. Would you mind telling me? No? You won't tell me? Well, in that case, I'll just have to come up with something to call you myself. I'm serious. I'll pick the first thing that comes to mind. There's still time. You just have to tell me your name. Okay, then. You had your chance. Allison it is, because you bite just like an alley cat. I'll tell the girls here to call you that. Please don't. Oh, finally, you speak. If you're not happy with the name, tell me what to call you. You have until the count of 3, then you're Allison for good. 1, 2, 3. Isn't your whole name, is it? Huh, so you're, I can understand being a little embarrassed about that. It's not my place to talk, I know. I don't mean any ill will, but that's a very, unfortunate name you were given. It's not my name. It's Morgana. Now, that wasn't so hard, was it? It's a nice name, Morgana. I like it. Also, it reminds me of my homeland. Your homeland? Yeah. I mean, I hardly remember anything about my childhood anymore. I couldn't even tell you the name of the country. But I have these vague memories of how the language sounded. And your name doesn't sound like a native name to these parts. It sounds like something that would fit right in with the memories of my homeland. I'd wager I guess you're probably from the same part of the world as me. If you go back far enough, you might even find we share ancestors. Who knows? How do you like that? Feeling a little sense of kinship? The thought very much displeases me. Well, okay then. Be a grouch. I'll let it slide, though. Getting your name out of you was put me in a good mood. It's nice to formally make your acquaintance, Morgana. My name's Jacopo. Hey, Morgana. One day, I'll show you the world. What? There's so much more out there than this tiny little corner of the earth we're rotting away in. More than you can possibly imagine. I'm gonna go out into the world, experience true freedom, and I'm gonna bring you with me. So try to stay positive. Once you see for yourself how much bigger the world is out there, and how different every region and its people are, it might change your perspective on things a bit. Might even help you forget some of the crap you've been through. Alright, now I'm done. I ended up taking pretty much all the ointment. I'll have to go buy some more. Well, I should probably get going. Will you be alright on your own? I would much prefer it, in fact. Alright. Sorry for being such a nuisance. See you again tomorrow. I'm not gonna be okay in this game, am I? I'm getting like all flustered over a couple CGs. And when this game hits with the hammer, I'm probably going to be a mess. I'm not looking forward to that. My whole body is all slimy. After the slave man left, I retreated to the corner of the room, sat down, and pulled my knees up to my chest. Through the walls, I could hear men and women singing, so I plugged my ears in an attempt to block out the vile noise. It was filthy here, and if I remained in this place too long, it'd probably taint my soul. I needed to get out as soon as possible, but I couldn't bring myself to leave. My body refused to cooperate. Just thinking about going out into the slums all alone sent uncontrollable shivers down my spine. I was the daughter of God. What did I have to fear? Such worldly emotions were unbefitting of a saint. I was pitiful, pathetic, and I hated it. I have nothing to fear. God will always lead his saint to where he needs her most. And as long as I continue performing miracles, people will acknowledge me as the daughter of God. I have nothing to fear. You're a damned witch wearing a saint's skin! Will they, though? Will anyone look at me and see a saint? I can't hardly see a saint in this face. The Lord and his guests, with all their revulsion, their fear, that was the appropriate reaction. I was repulsive, not something to be welcomed with open arms. Saints and angels were always spoken of as beautiful, while demons and witches were spoken of as hideous. Any miracle I performed would be seen as the work of the devil, not God. But it didn't matter. It was my sacred duty to offer a helping hand to anyone in need, no matter how much persecution I suffered for it. My heart was resolute, but my head is all muddled. I can't stand it. One day, I'll show you the world. And thinking about the slave man only made an even bigger mess inside my head. It wasn't all unpleasant, though. He didn't push me away because of how I looked. He treated me like an ordinary girl. Not a witch, and not a saint either. And besides, I was being disrespectful. I know that. He was well within his right to be angry. He could have let me go, but he didn't. He got angry, but he told me to stay. Put ointment on me. Smiled, even. A very curious man indeed. And then there was what he had said about his homeland. Just because my name reminded him of where he came from didn't mean I came from there as well. Never mind that nonsense about us sharing ancestors. I had no bloodline to trace back. My mother had conceived me without knowing man, and my father resided in heaven above, the Lord God. The very idea we shared blood was absurd, and yet, what if somewhere on this earth there are people who share my blood, who feel what I do, who think what I think, who see the world the same as me? What if somewhere out there really does exist? That would be very, so very lovely. And time flows ever onward, carrying them 2.5 years forward. Ooh. It's a little bit of a shorter episode, but I think that's just such a perfect place to end. And again, my throat's like not doing great, so I'm sorry. Especially because this episode, I did a lot of ranting, but there's a lot of thinking that happened in this episode. So I'm not really upset to be stopping here. It's just such a good stopping point. I think we should just go ahead and stay. But man, I almost hate knowing the ending already. I wonder, is there an argument to be said for people to play this game first? Probably not. I think it makes a lot of assumptions, and I think it would spoil a lot of the big twists of the former game. But it really was. It's gonna be so hard. It's so hard knowing what doom holds over everyone's head here, you know? What a beautiful story. How did someone conceive this story? I like to think of myself as a writer, but how did someone, like, conceptualize this? It's so well done. And frankly, how has this not been made into an anime? Everything seems to get an anime adaptation. Why not this? I don't know if it would do very well, or if it would even do it justice, but man, it feels like it should have at least been considered, right? Maybe the people who made it don't want it, though. Maybe they've shut down that idea. I've seen lots of writers do that. One of my favorite authors in the States is Brandon Sanderson. He's had a lot of approaches with people who want to, like, buy rights to make movies about his stuff, and he's been really picky about who can have those rights, and also, like, how much, like, say he gets to have in the project, which has made it so that we haven't had anything made by him yet. Frankly, though, I think he's got the right idea, so maybe that's the thing here. But anyway, this is gonna suck, but it's gonna be good too. So I'm glad that we're playing it. So thank you so much for being here. Yeah, so I might not do, you might have a gap in Friday and Monday episodes. I'm not sure. I'm going to try and do for Friday, but like if my throat's any worse tomorrow, I sadly might not be able to record like I thought I would. But I'm going to New York City it's New York City Anime Convention, which is happening this weekend. So if any of you happen to be going there, I'll see you there. And actually, Manga Gamer actually will be doing a panel there, so I'll be absolutely going there. Nobody, of course, who works for them would know who I am, but it'll be fun to go to anyway. But they're the ones who gave me this game, so good shout out to them again. Looking forward to it. But yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna have some fun. Probably take a few pictures. I'm trying to do a cosplay. It's gonna be a pretty basic one though, nothing too crazy. I'd love to be able to make a really good costume. I'm not that talented, and I also don't have the money to buy a really nice costume. But I'm gonna still have fun, dress up anyway. So yeah, I might buy some cool art or something and show it off on the channel later. So if there's a bit of a gap where you don't see videos from me, that's what's going on. So thank you guys so much for being here, and thank you especially to the patrons who help support this channel. You guys are amazing. I appreciate everything you do. I enjoy also being able to chat with you in Discord and the special Patreon section. So if that's something that sounds interesting to you, or other perks that you might want to check out, go to the link in the description. Other than that, thank you so much. I appreciate your support for being here. I look forward to reading your comments on this one, especially because I got very much into the philosophy side of stuff, and so I always really am interested to see what your thoughts are. So hopefully you choose to let me know what you were thinking in this part, and also just in general, like how you feel about this game so far. It'd be really fun to hear. So thank you, and until the next video, watch me. I'll see me next. I'll see you there.